some overlap, some were right after others when I did internships. I did two in my area of biology, and then the two last ones were in the area of health. And yeah, absolutely. It's not just internships, it's also work. So I now work in the health area, but it, especially if you're coming right out of college, you want to have that experience if you want to ultimately work in that field. And so here, yes, internship I think is a very important.
Hello and welcome once again to my youth channel, Say Something with Mads, where every week we invite youth from across the globe where they come, they share their opinions, they share their interest, their perspectives, their journey throughout and what is the challenges they face. It's a beautiful platform for any youth to come. Everyone is welcome here to share their journey. Today, it's a pleasure. Must tell you, I have Kimberly Gamarra with me. She's joining me from Utah. And but her sister has already been an interviewee, and it's a first occasion. No, I won't say first. This is a second occasion when two sisters have been on my channel, and it's always a pleasure to connect to the elder sister and the younger sister. And we will talk about a lot more about Kimberly's relation with Ellie and also her work in the medical field. So let's welcome Kimberly. Welcome to my channel. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Um, First, let's begin from the beginning. I would ask Kimberly to talk about her journey, her school, her college, what is she doing now? Instead of me telling, I know a bit about her well, from her beautiful resume she had shared with me. She has done a lot of work, and her passion for doing work in the healthcare segment is something worth applauding. But let's ask Kimberly. Over to you, Kimberly. Share your journey right from childhood, maybe to the college or your family, and about Ellie also, especially. Okay, over to you.
Absolutely. So I really started young in service because when Elizabeth, I don't know if she shared this, when she started college, she was also in high school. And so she was part of this wonderful mentorship program at the college that just watching the work she was doing with many families inspired me to also join and just contributing what I knew at that time with others, students, parents, family, community.
Mm,
And we focused on giving like social, educational, and like connection support. And it was like peer-to-peer mentorship.
okay,
We can
yeah.
contribute what we're good at or like
Mm,
what we are comfortable in. So like, if students aren't good at math, you are doing good in math, you can be a tutor, you can be give hours there, or
mm,
if you're good at biology or like chemistry, like just working together and
wow.
getting those courses done together and helping each other in that form. And it was really impactful for me. It's kind of where I noticed, yeah, science is where I like. And at first, I was like really caught on with chemistry, but I
Mm,
ultimately, when I finished, I went to biology. So,
mm,
kind of to give context, I started young. And then when I actually entered high school, I also went that route. I started doing college classes while in high school. I graduated with my first 2 years of college and my high school. And then I switched over to finishing my degree in
mm,
biology and then got my minor in pediatric clinical research. And really what moved me was my minor. I think that opened my eyes towards clinical work, working in the clinical setting, and that's what I wanted to do. It's where I saw I could do more because I always working in service, coming from a like service family,
mm,
I enjoyed it. I loved working with people. I loved that interaction. I love contributing to their
mm,
success because their success I saw it as my success, and they also were like huge help to me in building my confidence, building my like strengths. And then that was where I wanted to go. I'm like, yes, I see like being able to use my leadership, being able to use these all this information and applying it to wanting to be a doctor, because that's what a doctor does in a setting. They're leading a team, their voice for their patients, and making changes like policy changes or just in research. I also got involved in research, and that's what my goal became. And so I have really just been involved in many like health community stuff or educational stuff. And I'm also like a health community leader with the Columbus Adult Education Center. And what I do there is I offer the resources in the community that people can use. So like community health clinics, vaccination sites,
Okay.
like many people are looking for like they don't have insurance, like dental services, uh that range of like
Mm,
gaps in where they can get their healthcare services because they don't know where to go.
mm,
They don't have that understanding that there is places that they can go to, because obviously there's worries maybe in their like status in the country, or insurance status in the country. So being able to know that and being able to just add it all in one and being able to provide that to people has been great in that position as well.
wow. It's amazing because where we come from, our medical science is different. Here, after grade 12, that is 10 plus 2, people apply for entrance exam to the medical colleges through a all India exam. So it's called NEET. It's a tough exam to crack. But once you are done, then you are in medical college, and that's about it. Like then you pass the medical college, and then you do MBBS, and then you do MD specialization. So that's what. But when I was pre-interview, when I was talking to you, you were telling me about what are how many years it can take for you, depending upon what kind of specialization you take to become a specialist doctor. And now you said you are 21 and you are now applying to colleges. So tell us a little bit more about this medical college entry system in a place you are in USA, Utah, wherever you are doing. What kind of system, like a young girl, like say supposing 15, 16, wants to be a doctor. So what are the steps they should do? What do they do in your place? For my understanding and for my audience who are predominantly everywhere. Yeah.
Absolutely. So depending on, most medical schools kind of have the same pre-requirements, like
Okay.
science classes, physics classes, math classes. So
Oh,
you
tell me
want,
one. In doctor, in medicine, you need math also in math and physics.
so some schools ask, it's what you would call like a prerequisite before you apply. So you want to have
Okay.
your degree. So what they say is you can do any degree of your interest. So I
Okay.
ultimately did a science degree. I did biology, but you can do any degree, any
Really?
any
You can do anything, but still you can become a
any
doctor.
yeah, any bachelor degree. Yeah, you can do dance, you can do art, you can do all. Yeah, but there's the way before you apply, you want to meet the pre-requirements of
Okay.
medicine. So that
Okay.
is where they incorporate, you want to take like two biology classes or 8 semester credit classes of biology or
Got it.
chemistry, physics, or math and statistics like that. So as long as you have that and your degree, you can apply. And
Okay.
then also that's where they also want to know what experience you have or what motivated you towards wanting to be a doctor, and that's where your work reflects that. So you can do community service, volunteering, leadership, um, and then like clinical exposure where they see that you know what a doctor does, you understand the
Okay.
profession and
Okay.
gotten exposed to that. And
Mm.
then with that and with those hours, you apply. And basically, it's one system, MCAT. So it's kind of like you mentioned. This is like the entrance exam where it's a range of scores. And you want to take that, you want to kind of meet, like, be competitive is like a greater than a 510, but you can be within like 500 to the top.
Mm,
So with that, you then apply, and it's just one system. You
mm,
submit all your material there, and
mm.
then you can choose the schools you want to apply and where you want to send your letter of recommendations there. And
Okay.
then some schools have secondary applications where they will
Mm,
send specific questions to their school, or specific questions that they
okay.
want you to write more on. And then you
Mm,
submit that, and then you wait if you get
mm,
an interview or not, or if you get a rejection, or you get an acceptance. Or what they also do here is like wait list. So if you
mm.
got an interview but they didn't choose you, you do enter like a wait list for them in the case that anybody they did accept doesn't go. They accept sometimes a certain amount of people on the wait
Right.
list. They don't accept everybody, but they
Okay.
accept.
Tell me one thing. Since you are a healthcare specialist and you are doing this work, is your chances of getting into your desired college becomes better of because of your work which you are doing? They will look at all this work which you are doing, which is huge amount of work you have done right from when you are young till now, and of course you have done so many internships. So does that make your letter of the much more stronger than other candidates around?
I believe so. It really depends on how you talk about it, how you present yourself to the committee, because that's where in the interview they're gonna ask you about that. Sometimes they want to just know more about you as a person apart from the work you've done. Maybe they're
Okay.
very interested in the research you've done, or like you said, if they really like were interested in the work I was doing as a health specialist,
Right.
being able to talk about that, being able to share how that impacted me and why I did it towards wanting to be a
Right.
doctor plays a role, because many it's very competitive. Many people that apply have a lot of range of experiences.
Okay.
They
Okay.
also work it sometimes already in the healthcare setting in different areas.
Okay.
Others have done huge research, or others have done like international work. And so
Mm.
all of us that apply have a range of experiences. It really comes down to how you share
Then
about
then
yourself.
your
and,
interviews are
and
very important. How genuinely you want to become a doctor, what is your passion, yeah, and why you want, right? Ellie, sorry, I will, Kimberly, I will have to ask you one question, which might be like, okay, for my knowledge, especially when you are doing this kind of work, you are healthcare specialist. Are you paid for these activities? Are you paid intern, or you're working as a freelance or a volunteer right now?
so you cut off a little bit, but if I understood the question, it was if you get paid while you're doing internships or these opportunities.
Yes.
uh Personally, for me, I've done both. I've gotten opportunities where I do get paid, and then others where it's been just volunteer work. So it depends on you. Internship, same thing applies. After you finish college, your internships, depending on what you went for, it can be paid or non-paid.
Now,
And
what you
I
are
think
doing, what is
I did
your
both.
area of work right now? What you are doing is a paid work. Do you
Yes,
have, yeah, okay.
yes.
So, tell me about what kind of specialization are you looking at? You have worked with cancer patients. You have worked at different levels. You have done with psychology also, I believe. Tell me, what is your dream of becoming specialist of which area?
So really right now, I'm interested in pediatrics. Now,
Okay,
that doesn't take away that it may change down the road if because in medical school you will get exposed to all specialties before you
okay,
choose.
okay,
And
okay,
so um what caught me was always pediatrics. I think I've always enjoyed just working with kids, and every since I started as a child, I was working with children right away. And then as I grew, I also continue working with youth. And it's what has touched me. And my minor was also working in the pediatric
yeah.
emergency department. And so that's the specialty I'm in.
I have to ask you if you said just now you mentioned about malaria people in Africa, maybe in India. We have lots of cases still of malaria. What if given a chance? Would you like to work somewhere else other than USA to know about what kind of people? Would you like to do an internship in Africa, maybe, or maybe in India, maybe some other places? Do you think that that will give you more exposure to kind of things which affect children right across the globe?
Absolutely. That's exactly, yeah, what I want to do. I think health is global. I think it would help me tremendously having those global opportunities. And I know in medical school there is that chance of possibly doing those, like you mentioned, internships or
Right.
um,
Kimberly, when I was reading about you and your work, you have done a lot of internships. So, how do you manage to do so many things? What is like you have done? You have to tell me how many internships you have done. So, how that internships help you connect to people, networking, making more friends, being more open and embracing about everyone else, different cultures, different communities, different places you have worked. So, how has internship changed you? And is it very recommended for young people to go for variety of internship to get those different experiences?
yeah, so some overlapped, some were right after others when I did internships. I did two in my area of biology, and then the two last ones were in the area of health. And yeah, absolutely. It's not just internships, it's also work. So I now work in the health area, but it, especially if you're coming right out of college, you want to have that experience if you want to ultimately work in that field. And so here, yes, internship I think is a very important aspect of your education. And like you mentioned, connections, it helps a lot. Personally, for me, when I was working in, like, when you work in an internship, you can also get offered a job if it opens in that
Mm.
company
Yeah, yeah.
or in that setting. And so that's what I mean, like connecting, seeing
Mm.
what chances you have there, or the letter of recommendations from your supervisors, from your colleagues is a huge help in being able to connect with other
Absolutely.
companies that you want to work in.
Uh, um, is there somebody, if I have to ask you, you look up to someone who is your idol? Is there a hero or a person whom you idolize or someone you've learned from somebody a lot and you want to become like that person? Who would that person be?
I hope it's not cliche, but I think from a very young age, it's been Elizabeth. She's my older sister, and or I think something very big in my family is that we're very united, and from very young age, we've been like service has been key, and I think that has taught us all. But something I look up in Elizabeth is just her her global connection as well,
Uh,
her impact in how she organizes things. I think
ab-
I mentioned, like, yes, I have my goal orient is ultimately medicine, but she has also been exposed to different projects. She's done very different fields as well. She's been exposed to different fields, not just her field of area, and learned how her field of area connects in that area. And I think that I she's enough for me, just in that, and how she just keeps on growing, keeps on learning, and that's what I want to do.
you have to invite three people for dinner, okay, whom you have never met, but you want to have them on your table. Three people. Who would they be and why?
Somebody that I really watch a lot is Dr. Mike. He has his like YouTube channel as well as his TikTok channel, and he's a family medicine doctor that
Doctor
his
Mike.
Dr. Mike.
Okay.
And then Dr. Valencia is someone I also watch a lot.
Oh
And
my
somebody,
God, all the doctors on your table. Yeah, I can
yes,
see.
doctors.
Kimberly, tell me, what does the word sustainable living mean to you? as a youth, as a 21-year-old, what do you think about what is the biggest challenge about the United Nations sustainability goals around which you are working? I can see that you are working for the health sector, and that is one of the goals, yes. But what do you think about the UN SDG goals? How important are they for you?
I think they're really good in the sense that they have centered where we should focus on. And like you mentioned, health is where I'm working on now. And that's what is needed for each of us wherever we are to contribute in our communities in ensuring health for our people, for our communities. And if that is providing resources, if that is being someone that is giving that care, that is working towards being someone that can give that care for people, increasing also research in that area, I
Mm.
think is key. And so for me, for me personally, sustainability is seeing what I'm doing impacting uh,
Yeah.
as a whole.
Right.
What am I? Yeah,
Mm.
how is what I'm doing having an impact in on Earth as well, just in general? Because to be healthy, we want to also have a healthy Earth, and
Yes.
so yeah, I think
Very well
the
said.
yeah.
You don't have to shout and about help climate change every time and talk about climate change without even thinking what is it going to happen at the ground level, what is happening. Education for one, I think, is the most important, and the healthcare sector. If these two are taken care of, people are automatically going to think about other bigger things like climate change. I hope
Exactly.
uh,
And the little
yeah.
things add up. The little things for sure add up. And I think that's the goal of what the United Nations wants. It's they can't do it all on their own, right? So we have to, if we have like the opportunity to contribute in something just in your community or maybe globally, let's do
Mm.
it because that's what we should encourage all of us to contribute.
Uh, Kimberly, if you have to write a book on yourself, okay, supposing you are writing a book, imagine you are writing a book. What would be the title of the book?
What would be the title of the book if I wrote about myself?
Yes.
I maybe would say Journey for You.
Okay. Okay.
I would
Yeah.
call it Journey for You. And I
Okay.
would focus it more on how I made my journey for myself.
Kimberly, now is the time when you get to ask me a question. So it's a kind of a role reversal. What would that question be you want to ask me? It could be anything from any field.
Absolutely. I want to ask you what has motivated you to enter this work. I think you said now you're interviewing youth, and I think that's amazing. That
Yeah.
what has
Okay.
been your motive to where
My
you are now?
motivation is actually a very selfish reason for myself. Okay, I started this channel not for making big changes in the world. I wanted to be connected to the youth of today. It's my selfish need to remain connected to what is going on in the life of a young people who is like you, who is sitting in Utah or maybe some part of other part of Africa, some in Spain, some in UK. What are they doing? Why such a beautiful platform is created? LinkedIn has given us so much option to connect to young people. I would rather be talking to young than the CEOs and the people who are interviewed day in, day out on multiple YouTube channels and podcasts. Yes, they are no doubt have something big to say and people to listen, but why are we not having a platform for youth? Why are we not listening to them? What is going on in your mind? What is the struggle? What are they doing? And how are they making big? maybe 20 years down the line, when I interview you again, you would be somewhere a big doctor and people are following your podcast and people are, I said, I would say that I interviewed Kimberly when she was just 21. Now people are after her. So the journey of youth is something which excites me and this keeps me very, very in touch. So I want to be in touch. I want to remain that young at heart person who wants to connect with young people. So I think I started with that, but it has made a lot of difference in the life of the people whom I interview. So that's been my biggest, I would say, takeaway from every interview, that they feel that they have changed after my interview and become more introspective. So it helps both.
I think that's so beautiful. And I don't see it as selfish. I think that's actually very like sweet because it's kind of how I also have seen the service I've done because I also work with youth now that I'm when I started young, but now I also work with youth and that's exactly how I take it too. It's like you can learn so much from someone that's also just starting and seeing where they're gonna go and seeing them down the line and that's so beautiful.
And it's never been like what I'm making out of it. Why, where is it going? It's just that I want to connect. Every day I interview one youth, almost 3 to 4 interviews a week. Weekends I don't because of time and the problem. But otherwise, the 3 to interviews every week, and that gives me so much excitement. I will research over that person. I will talk to that person. I will write questions. I will interact with them, and then after that they become a friend for life. So I add one person at a time. So it's such a beautiful journey. Thank you so much for being part of my journey, Kimberly. And you are such a wonderful, wonderful soul. And this been a very different interview, I would say, something coming from service background, service mentality, and so willingly giving to people. It's amazing. Thank you so much, Kimberly. We have come to this end of this lovely conversation. I won't say this is an interview. This is much about knowing who Kimberly is. Kimberly, I would love you to end this with maybe a favorite quote or a favorite line or a philosophy of life which you follow for my audience.
I would say the way I always like to think is never push yourself forward. Always push yourself forward because you you may run into things I mean I didn't talk about this, but it's not always a perfect journey. But
Yeah.
you have to have that that motivation to always keep on moving forward. You may not get it something in the moment, but you can reach it. And I think it's beautiful that you're making this podcast with different youth sharing their experiences because that's really the mindset I use. I always push myself forward. I never like staying stuck with maybe something that hit me hard. And and that's why I am where I am now because I always am like, nope, keep on going forward. And that is what I would leave with today.
Yes. Well, I don't want to listen to any motivational speaker to know what Kimberly so beautifully has said this line. So many people, motivational speakers, are speaking the same thing, but when it comes from the heart, that everybody goes through these issues, everyone has struggle. But see, the line, the most important thing is push on, move on, and be more resilient. Thank you so much for being here today, and I hope you had a good time. And I hope my viewers, when this is published, would love this interview as much as I loved interviewing her. Please subscribe to my channel. And as before, every end of every talk show, I end up with one tip to live sustainably is not to buy what you don't need. I'm especially talking about food items unnecessarily, which goes to the dustbin because it is either expired or it is rotten or you didn't need it. It was on sale. So you just got some extra stuff to put in your fridge, which you don't know, which you don't use. So please avoid. We have enough of food wastage. If we can curb it at our end, that would be wonderful. Thank you so much, Kimberly, and bye bye. And see you again next week with another guest.